Oh, yeah. Has your mind ever played tricks on you? And is your mind playing tricks on you right now? I know there's times when my mind has played tricks on me. I know it's played tricks on other people, having them think that what they believe is true when it isn't. Totally contradicts what God says about that person. But here today, we are about to talk about just different ways where we can actually break through some of these thought patterns that actually keeps us stuck. Keeps us stuck. I mean, to the point where you actually start going down this rabbit hole of just negative thoughts that for whatever reason you think are real. And the crazy part is when you begin to meditate on some of these thoughts that aren't real, you could go down, now you're going down this path and just getting out of it really, it could be like a minute or two because you just start thinking and next thing you know, you're planning, you're plotting. And I'm not sure if you've been there, but I know I've been there many times, right? But it takes a minute for us to actually just be like, you know what? Why am I thinking like this? Where does this come from? What is this doing to me right now? Besides creating a level of anxiety in your body, because now all of a sudden your heart starts to get your, your heart rate increases. And the crazy thing, it's not even real. It's not even real. But here we are, we're allowing this to happen to ourselves. And I just want you all to know that one, you're not alone. Two, we're about to share some biblical truths to actually to actually get us out of that moment and that mindset. And so when it happens again, you know exactly what to do. You know exactly what to do because this happens often. So come on now, let's get into this. Let's get into this so we'll stop sabotaging ourselves with these negative thought patterns. Because I know one thing, your mind is a battlefield. I remember Joyce Meyer actually writing a book about battlefields. I think the title was actually similar. Similar. I think it's Battlefield of the Mind, though. But this is a quick question. Like, have you ever convinced yourself that something was way worse than it actually was? And then once you actually discovered that it wasn't, or wasn't even true, how did you feel? Another thing is, why do you feel like you allowed yourself to go there? That's the question you really need to ask yourself. What was going on in your life that you felt like you needed to entertain this thought, and where did it come from? And it's like, here's a couple of examples right here that I just want to share briefly with you. It's like, here you are, you're in a texting conversation and the other person doesn't respond right away, and suddenly you feel like, oh, this person doesn't like you anymore. That's far from the truth. The thing is, you just don't know what that other person was doing, or if that person got called away, right? I never forget when I was just before I started Fuller. I went to sit in on a class, and it had to do with a digital age society, something like that. And the teacher was talking about, basically he gave an example of two young girls who were in this conversation. They were texting or they were corresponding through the computer, right? And one of the girls had to go right in the middle of this conversation. And the thing is, the other girl didn't know why she had to leave, but the other girl just left. And just imagine that this girl had been called away because her parents were, it was dinner time, or she had homework that she needed to do that she had to take care of. And so she didn't get an opportunity to say, hey, so and so, I have to go because of homework. They just came into the room and like, okay, it's time to go. It's time for you to stop doing what you're doing to take care of this task. And so this other person on the other end is feeling some kind of way. They're feeling like, oh, this person abandoned me. They neglected me. Uh, they rejected me for whatever reason. And so now this person might have some unmet health issues, from some past trauma experience. But whatever happened, this right here triggered a moment. And so you just think about why we feel the way we feel or why we end up entertaining these thoughts. Another one is, you walk into a room and you think, oh, this person is judging me, when this person isn't even thinking about you. Right? Just because they observed you, they looked you up and down or whatever. Oh, now this person is judging me. I mean, I do that often. Or I see somebody coming in, I look at them. But it's no different than you attending a church service, right? And the whoever's bringing a message is sharing a message that's so convicting that you actually think this person knows a little something about your life and some of the struggles that you're actually going through right now. But this is what happens when we allow our thoughts to create our reality. If we're not careful, these negative thought patterns can actually shape our identity, but also create these false limitations and keep us stuck in the fear, doubt, and insecurity. And that's the last thing we want to do, is be in that place where all of a sudden we're giving these thoughts so much power over us, um, that it takes us out of the present and we're not even operating. Because I guarantee when we do this, it's going to reflect in our conversation, it's going to reflect in our attitude, it's going to reflect in how we treat each other, and especially our body language. Are you standoffish? Are you isolating? Or are you engaging? And so these are some of the things that just you really have to be cognizant of and just think about, because our mind is powerful, and the thing we really need to take control of our thoughts rather than allowing them to take control of us. You just think about just when you work out. Oh, I don't feel like working out today. Deep down, you notice you should work out because your body is like, man, we tired. We tired. We don't need to get it. But your mind is like, no, we're about to hit this because we're going to feel so much better when we do. Right. So that's why Paul talks about being transformed, um, and renewing our minds daily. That's the scripture. That's the theme right there. That's the main focal point right here for this lesson right here, is to be transformed by the renewing of our minds and not being conformed to the patterns of the world. Because when we conform, all we're doing is copying. And that's the last thing you want to do, is copy and mimic somebody else. Because when you do that, you really going your thought pattern is really gonna be messed up, because now you're gonna fall into this comparison type of mindset, right? And so here are some of the thought patterns that actually keeps us stuck. And the first one is catastrophize. Catastrophizing. Oh my goodness. Just expecting the worst case scenario every time, right? Um, I mean, how many times have you actually done that, where you think that, okay, listen, you made a mistake, whether it's at work, whether it's in a family, in their household, um, a friend, and now all of a sudden you feel like, oh man, that friendship is ruined. Oh, I need to pack my bags. At work, I just need to gather everything because I'm about to get sent to IA and I already know it's going bad, or my supervisor's going to do this. Um, or even like, kids, right? They done messed up and they get their little bag, or they put all they clothes in a pillowcase and they tie it on their stick and they start walking down the street because they know. But that's why I said 95% of the things that we worry about never happens. We just conjure this stuff up in our minds, and now this is the crazy thing, we're digging this. It's like we're in this rabbit hole, right? And we're going deeper and deeper and deeper, and we're giving it power. And next thing you know, it just becomes a stronghold. And when something has a stronghold on you, man, it's gonna be tough to get out of. And sometimes you can't do this stuff alone. That's why God talked about, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. When we do that, we're taking away all the power that God has, who can actually change our circumstance and has ability to change and renew our minds. And that's why it's so important just to have this kind of scripture to reflect on, whether it's scripture or a personal development book that you've been reading, something, right, to actually help you. Number two, overgeneralizing. Um, Taking one failure and applying it to everything. Just because you failed or had a mishap in one area doesn't mean that you're going to have a mishap in this area over here. Get out of that mindset and reflect on scripture. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Just remember, God's mercies are new every morning. Or just know, I'm gonna take a quick intermission. Just know that one, this PDF right here that I'm actually sharing with you all is downloadable. So take advantage of this and use this as a resource for you just to get some scripture and write down some notes of how you're feeling. Another thing, number 3, negative self-talk. Why are you beating yourself up? Instead, you should be lifting yourself up. I am good enough, fearfully and wonderfully made, right? Yet that you are. Number 4, this is another thought pattern we get caught up in. That mind reading and assumptions, thinking we know what others are thinking. You don't know what they're thinking. Just because somebody didn't invite you to something doesn't mean they don't like you. They just might have been so busy and consumed with creating this party list or whatever list that you felt like you were missed out, that you were neglected or you weren't thought about on. They probably just overlooked your name for whatever reason. So don't take it personally. Hit them up. Hey, I saw that the flyer went out or the invite went out. Is it cool that I come? Invite yourself. You know what I'm saying? Invite yourself. Uh, because this is the thing. We often project our insecurities on others. But here's another thing. People will do the same to you. People will project their insecurities and their fears on you. So you really have to establish boundaries, um, and know who you can and can't tolerate things from. I already have my tolerance list. And some of the people on my list, I don't even want to tolerate, but sometimes you have to. But that's just another topic that we'll get into. Actually, go back to the Thor video, the one I actually published. Go back to that video, because you have that thorn in your side sometimes. But um, I just remembered there were times when I wanted to do something, just who I was sharing with, right? Whether it was a dream or some kind of venture. And of course, anything that we do that's new or unknown is a risk, but it's a healthy risk, right? There's a difference between healthy and unhealthy risk. And this was a healthy risk. And, I shared it with some folks and they were like, oh man, are you sure about that? What if this happens? What if that happens? Well, what if it does happen? We're going to pivot. We're going to look at it as a learning opportunity, and then we're going to make the right adjustments. But sometimes you just need to have that mindset, just knowing that things are going to happen. Things just don't go smoothly every time. That's Now you're really setting yourself up for failure if you think that things are just going to operate smoothly. But this is a scripture that I love right here. The Lord looks at the heart, not outward appearances. And this is Samuel right here when he's talking about David, when he went up to Jesse. And he let David know that, look, you about to be anointed the king of Israel. Yeah. Dave out there tending to the sheep, protecting the sheep, battling lions, wolves. There's no telling, bears. He was getting down. And I know that God he doesn't give us that spirit of fear, right? And so this is how we're going to break these thought patterns. 3 easy steps. 3 easy steps. Catch the thought. Before reacting emotionally, ask yourself, what are you telling yourself right now? And then another thing, would you let somebody else talk to you the way you talk to yourself? That is huge, because you will not allow anybody else to demean you, disrespect you, and talk bad about you and lie on you, right? Slander you in a way that, man, it just messes up your whole identity and character, your image, right? Why would you do that to yourself? So take every thought captive to make it obedient to Christ. If God isn't saying it about you, don't say it about yourself. I don't care what kind of funk you're in. That's one thing that you really have to be cognizant of and switch that mindset. Don't get caught up in the subconscious in the past. Just live right now. And when you start having those thoughts, challenge yourself. Challenge that lie, right? Instead of believing the first thought that pops up, Ask, is this true? And does it line up with what God says? Because I guarantee it doesn't. If it's negative, it doesn't. And just remember that. Negative, not God. Positive, God. Yeah. And replace that I'm a failure, or I'm failing, to God is still working on me. Because we've all messed up. We are where we were last year. And the thing is, you always want to become better every day. Do something today. Write down some gratitude, something that you're thankful for, no matter what the situation is. Because I guarantee once you start expressing some gratitude, especially in the midst of what it is that you're going through, man, He's gonna work on that mindset of yours, and you're gonna start having this positive outlook, even during a trial, even during your trials. So let's go. Let's replace it with some truth, right? Find one verse to combat that negative thought. Example: if fear is a pattern, go to Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. And then find some other scriptures that align with that also. Be strong and courageous. That's what God told Joshua after Moses passed away. And instead of saying, I mess up all the time, or I'm always a mess up, just remember that God's grace is sufficient. You just have to recognize those mess ups and don't continue to make those same mistakes. Now you'll definitely be digging yourself in a rabbit hole. And so this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. Here's the call to action. This is your homework for this week, this weekend, wherever you want to do. But challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. Every time you catch yourself in that negative thought pattern, loop of yours, where you're just continuously having this conversation with yourself about, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, why is this person thinking this way about me? Oh, they said this, or how's this person trying to judge me, when you haven't heard anything audibly. Nobody sent you a text message saying that this person is talking trash or whatever. Find something. Find a scripture, or create a personal mantra that actually help you replace that lie with the truth. And I know sometimes when I get caught up in those moments where I just feel like I'm overwhelmed, I just have to go back to the beginning of my mantra. I'm unstoppable, and everything that I need is within me. I'm unstoppable, and everything that I need is within me. I'm unstoppable, and everything that I need is within me. I'll repeat that as many times as I need to get back into that place. And all of a sudden, the energy that I have, is new. I feel like I'm revived, and now I'm thriving. And so this is what we need to do to get you to that place. We need to get you to that place where you can thrive and challenge these thoughts. So right here, your mind doesn't have to control you. Renew it and let God transform your life. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. If you thought this message right here was good and beneficial and helped you out, definitely subscribe, like, and share. Share it with somebody that you know that can actually use this message. But also, download this PDF and take advantage of the free resources that I actually have for you. Because once you actually download the PDF, you click this button here, it's going to take you to the website where you have access to some other PDF downloads and some things you have to subscribe for. But it's also going to take you to the book, How to Crush Emotional Chaos and Walk in Faith. All right, you all have a blessed day. And remember, we cannot become what we need if we remain where we are. That's a John Maxwell quote. God bless. I love you. I'll see you next time. D. Wells, I'm out. Boom, 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 boom.